I was told personally at UConn that the culture shock was very real. 2 or 3 weeks in, I was going to have to take a serious precaution to make sure that it didn't ruin my trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same for me. Like, they definitely were like, it's very different from like American culture. Like, you have to be prepared for like this whole like completely different kind of environment. And I don't know, it wasn't that different from what I had been prepared for, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I myself, I grow up and still live in a very traditional Italian home. So the food here, just, I don't know, everything. It's very familiar to me. Nothing really threw me off much. Maybe the fact that the stores close at like 1 to 3 every day. That's a little interesting. I was not ready for that.
I know that Nick grew up Italian. I grew up very Indian, and so that culture is so different than American culture. To me, Italian culture it's Western, and so it's so similar to American culture.
Yeah, same for me. Like, I grew up in a very Korean household, so it was like a lot of the things that they were like, oh, it's very different, was something that I had already kind of been used to, considering it's just a very different, like, my household was very different from, like, I guess, like a traditional American household. So,
I feel like all three of us, honestly.
Yeah, like...
That makes us slightly not ideal.
Maybe we're not qualified for this.
Not ideal. But in terms of culture shock, there's some things that I really don't think would bother most people. Like, in America, we do eat a lot of pasta, so you're going to eat pasta here. Don't be worried about it. Pizza, there's maybe a little bit more pizza than you need.
More variety.
You're going to overdose on the pizza.
You're going to overdose on the pizza, but big deal. You're going to overdose on pizza. It sounds blissful. Now, the bidet. Eileen. Are we rocking with the bidet?
Okay. Korea also has bidets, but not the ones here. And I was a little confused because the ones in Korea are the ones that are like directly attached to the toilet.
Yep.
And you just have to turn it on and off or like whatever. I wasn't expecting it to be a whole different like sink looking thing. And I was really confused at first because I was like, why do we have like, I thought it was a urinal. I'm going to be really honest.
Wow.
And I was like, why do we have like 3 different things in the bathroom? And then it turns out it was a bidet. So that was kind of interesting.
It can be intimidating though. When we first got here, when you and I first met, Mo, I think one of our first conversations was, how do you even use the bidet?
Right.
I knew of it. I knew it was a separate appliance, a separate piece from the toilet. But seeing it firsthand, I didn't know what to really do. I didn't know how to use it. Well, let me ask you guys something. So at home, like I said, I grew up in a traditional Italian home. And we eat very late at night at home. We usually eat at like 8, 8:30, as crazy as that sounds. Here, they eat late at night too. They go out late. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm not used to that.
You're not at all?
I'm not used to that. Latest we will eat is like 7.
At home?
Yeah, like
Oh, wow.
we usually eat dinner 5:30, 6. We're done by 7. Sometimes if we're running late, we'll eat at 7. Like weekends we'll go out maybe, but like dinners being at 8, like I'm like, whoa. Like I think that was one of the things I would consider culture shock.
Yeah. And how do you guys feel about the nightlife starting at like, like 12:30, 1 o'clock? That's when stuff really starts to pick up.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I feel like that's just a bad take on Europe. People need to just sleep more. And they don't sleep, and I don't know how they look so good. I don't know how everyone is functioning, because sleep is like the single most important thing that your body needs to live. And they're not doing it.
Yeah.
They drink espresso, they have a cigarette, they eat a croissant with Nutella in it, and then they go party at 3 a.m.
Yeah. And then they're back up the next day.
You know what? That's the most culture shock I've probably had. You're probably right.
And we're waiting, and then we see the bus come, and I'm like, oh my god, like, Grace, there's our bus, and I'm like smiling, and I make eye contact with the bus driver, and he smiles, and then he drives off without stopping. And apparently what it is that you have to wave the buses over.
Yeah.
Oh.
We didn't know that. So this man was probably just being like, why is this girl smiling at me? I'm going to smile back, because he was nice, I guess. And then he just drove off. And I was like, wow, okay, that was not what I expected. And then we had to go talk to the ticket booth lady. And she was like, the next one is at 107.
So all 3 of us, we had gone to, I'm going to butcher the name. What was it?
Cascata di Marmore.
Del Marmore. I think so.
Mar-
The waterfall.
Marmore.
In Terni.
Marmore.
Yes. Marmore Falls.
Yes. It was beautiful.
Beautiful.
What'd you guys think of it?
Amazing. I loved it.
Biggest waterfall in Europe.
Yeah, I believe it. It was
Yeah, the
huge.
biggest man-made waterfall, I think.
Yeah.
No, I think it's the tallest.
Oh, like,
waterfall
just
in
period?
Europe. Yeah, period.
Oh.
Period. Point blank. It's quite long. I think that's why. Because it falls and then it keeps falling at a different spot and then it keeps falling at a different spot. The hike is beautiful. I recommend it. I think we're running short on time now. We have an Italian midterm, so maybe we'll see culture shock there.